In this video, we'll look at common factoring. You should always common factor first. So let's start with a simple one. Question 1 here is just 3x minus 18. How do we common factor that? We look for what's in common between these two terms. What goes into 3x that goes into 18? Well, the answer is 3. So we put a 3 out front and we open a bracket, and now we divide each thing by 3. What's 3x divided by 3? An x. And what's 18 divided by 3? A 6. Don't forget this minus in between them. And there you have it. 3x minus 18 common factor gives 3 times x minus 6. Second question is a little more involved because there are a lot more common factors. What goes into 3x cubed y7 minus 18 times x to the power 6 y to the power 4? Well, same common factor for the numbers, a 3, goes into all of them, but we also want to look at what goes into the letters, in this case x and y. So let's look here. This has 3 x's and this has 6 x's. They can both afford to give up 3 total x's. That is, they have a common factor of x cubed. And this has 7 y's and this has 4 y's, so they have a common factor of y to the power 4. That's going to be our greatest common factor, 3x cubed y to the power 4. We open a bracket, and I'll put a closed bracket so I don't forget, and I'll divide each term, that is this first term, 3x cubed y7, divided by 3x cubed y to the power 4. 3 divided by 3 gives 1, but we don't have to write it because it's just a placeholder. If there's nothing else, there'll be something else. X cubed divided by x cubed is also 1, so 1 times 1. And then we have y to the power 7 divided by y to the power 4. We get y to the power 3. So that's our first term. Now our second term. Let's put the minus so we don't forget. What's 18 divided by 3? 6. What's x to the power 6 divided by x to the power 3? When you're dividing, you subtract the exponents. So 6 take away 3 leaves x cubed. Probably can move that bracket a little closer because we're done. The last one was y4 divided by y4. Anything divided by itself leaves 1, which just means times 1. That's understood to be cancelled out. And so we're left with, in the brackets, y cubed minus 6x to the power 3. And it's common factored. So that's common factoring, which you should always try and do first. But sometimes you common factor and there's more to do. For example, when we're factoring quadratics, you should always try and common factor first. Here's an example. Y equals 2x squared minus 10x plus 12. What's the common factor? What goes into 2 that goes into 10 that goes into 12? The answer is a 2. And notice not an x because this has x squared, this has x, so far so good, but this has no x's. So x is not a common factor. We just pull out the 2 and we'll divide each thing by 2. 2x squared divided by 2 leaves x squared. Negative 10x divided by 2 leaves negative 5x. And 12 divided by 2 leaves plus 6. And now let's do the MAN or Bergman technique. There's lots of videos on this. We're trying to factor by multiplying to 6 and adding to negative 5. What two numbers multiply to 6 and add to negative 5? Those numbers are negative 2 and negative 3. Again, watch the video on factoring using Bergman technique. If you're not sure how I did that, put that in a box so I don't get a communication error. And I'll write my final solution. The 2 stays there, and then it's times x minus 2, got that from this number, and x minus 3. And so there you have common factoring, a very simple example, an example with lots of different parts to the common factor, an example of common factoring when you're factoring a quadratic.